Hello 9th class students. Today we will continue our previous chapter, that is matter around us pure? In this chapter we have discussed about the different separation methods of the substances or matter that is present around us. Now students, in this video we will see the changes that takes place in the matters that is present around us. So let's see. Changes in matter that is present around us or present in our environment. So students, you have seen many types of changes that occurs in our day-to-day life in the substances that are present around us. For example, if you boil the water, then water start boiling and get converted into vapor. If we freezes the water in refrigerator, then it freezes and converted into ice. So students, if we see water, ice and water vapor, all three appears us in different physical state. One is in liquid state, one is in solid and other is in gaseous state. But students, in all three forms water is present. Second thing, if you burn something, suppose we burn a piece of paper, then we see that paper get converted in the form of ash. If you burn the oil or the kerosene, then kerosene disintegrates and it disappears. So where does kerosene goes? If we flame a candle, then the wax of the candle slowly melt down and in the last it is disappeared. So what happened to the wax of the candle? So let's say students, if we see the changes that are takes place in the matter around us can be classified into two. One is physical change and another is chemical change. Let's understand them in detail. First of all, two types of changes are there. One is physical change and the second one is chemical change. In physical change, students, the property of the matter, just like color, their boiling point, it may be their odor, its smell, these things are changes. But the chemical composition in which the substance is formed remains same. So physical change is the change in which only physical conditions or the physical properties of the substance changes, but in chemical, the chemical composition of the substance changes. For example, if you burn the wood, then the molecules of the wood or the particles of wood get converted into particles of the ash. So the particles of the ash or the carbon particles are entirely different from the particles of the wood. So in this way, students, we can say that in chemical changes the new substance are formed, by which we cannot get the previous substance, but in physical changes the changes that occur can be reversed. We can obtain the previous substance by the product. For example, if we convert water, we see the example of the physical change. If we convert water into ice, and in order to convert the water into ice, students, we have to cool it. You know that in order to get the ice, we keep the water in freezer, in refrigerator, because refrigerator pull out all its heat, make it very cool up to the 0 degree Celsius, because the freezing point of the water is 0 degree. So at 0 degree Celsius water get converted into ice. But if we put the ice in open environment, or if we slowly heat the ice, then ice again start melting and get converted into water. So students, this reaction can be proceed in reverse direction also, if we provide it heat. So here you can see that water by cooling can be converted into ice, and ice by heating can again be converted into water. So this is the example of the physical change. Now we see students the changes, that is chemical change. If we talk about the chemical change, then its example is burning of paper. If we burn a paper, then it will convert it into ash. So students, by heating or by burning, we convert paper into ash. But students, now by any process we cannot change it again into paper. This cannot be again converted into the substance which was before the reaction occurring. So in chemical reactions or in chemical changes, the substance always form the new substance, but we cannot convert it again into the previous substance, and the chemical properties of the beginning and the end product both are entirely different to each other. Okay students, so this is the two types of the changes, physical change and chemical change. Students, there may be some changes around us which can be combination of the both physical and chemical changes. The processes, there may be some processes in which physical and chemical both the changes may occur. If we see example of this, then we can say burning of candle. Burning of candle is an example of physical as well as chemical change. Can you guess how the physical change occurs and how the chemical change is occurring in this process? So students, if we see during the burning, the wax is a type of petroleum product, hydrocarbon. It combines with oxygen and form carbon dioxide and water vapor. But during the same time, you have seen that wax start melting and slowly it comes down to the top of the candle. So that change in which the semi-solid or the solid wax get converted into liquid is a physical change, because we can again the wax which coming down from the top of the candle, after touching the ground it again get converted into solid wax. But the wax which have burned, or we can say which have combined with the oxygen and get converted into water vapor and carbon dioxide, cannot be again converted into wax. So students, that is the chemical change. So in this way students, we can say that burning of candle is combination of the changes of the physical as well as chemical change. Now we will see students about the pure substances. So we have discussed in our previous video that the matter which is present around us is classified into different forms. Among their different forms, one is element, and we have seen that element is the purest form of the substance. So let's see different forms of the elements that are present around us. So students, if we talk about the purest form of the matter, then it comes as to element. Element is the purest form of the substance present around us, which is made up of very tiny particles. That particles are known as atoms. So elements is made up of only single type of atoms, only one type of the atom. Nowadays students, till date more than 100 elements are known. More than 100 elements are known, among which 92 are found in nature, which are occurs naturally, and rest of the 8 are man-made, which are prepared in laboratory. Okay students, so let's see in which groups these elements again or further can be divided. So students, if we further divide the elements in different form, then elements can be classified into 3 different forms. First is metal, second is non-metal, and third is metalloid. Metals, non-metals and metalloids. Let's discuss student them in detail. You have seen many metals and non-metals around us. For example, you have seen iron, gold, silver, aluminium. All these like iron, gold, silver, aluminium, all these are the examples of the metals. Now you have some mindset about the metals, that what metal exact can be. So students, let's see the properties of the metals. That metals, there is a little difference in between the metal and non-metals, we can see around us. So let's see the difference on the basis of the properties that we see in our day-to-day life. First of all, if we talk about the metal, then metals have lustrous property. They possess the shining, their surface is shiny. So students, the first property of the metal is they let's see here, metal, and here we can say non-metal. So the first property is that metals have the characteristic shining, or they have luster. We can say they are lustrous, or they shine. In opposite to the metals, the non-metals does not possess a shining surface. Some may possess the shining just like carbon, but it is due to internal reflection of the light. But in case of the metals, their surface is shining. Second thing, we see that iron, aluminium, silver, gold, they are generally hard. Their surface or their bulk is generally hard, except the mercury. All the metals are either solid or semi-solid, except the mercury, which is found in liquid state. So they are generally solid. But let's see here, non-lustrous. Second thing, metals are generally solid except the mercury which is in liquid state, it is an exception, but non-metals may be solid, liquid or gas. All the gases are non-metals. So metals, non-metals can be either solid, liquid or gas, but metals are generally found in solid state. Third thing we see, students, metals are generally have the electrical conductivity property. That means they can conduct the electricity from them. They allow the electricity to pass through them. So next, third property or important property is that, students, metals are good conductors of electricity, but non-metals are either bad or poor conductor of the electricity except graphite. Graphite is an allotrope of the carbon which is good conductor of electricity. We will discuss it, why graphite is good conductor of electricity. And students, non-metals are generally bad conductor or non-conductor of the electricity. So these are the three main differences. Next difference in between the metals and non-metal is that, students, metals are ductile. Now what is the meaning of the ductile or ductility? You have seen that the wires, electrical wires that we uses in our houses are made up of metals, either by aluminium or of copper. So copper and aluminium both are metals. So metals can be stretched in the form of wire, and this property of being stretched in the form of the wire is known as ductility. So fourth one is that metals are ductile, that they can be drawn in the form of wire, and non-metals being non-ductile, they cannot be drawn or they cannot be stretched in the form of the wire. So these are non-ductile. Next difference, students, in between the metal and non-metal is that metals can be beaten in the form of the sheet, and this property is known as malleability. Malleability, that means the metals are malleable. That means if we beat the metal with the help of the hammer, instead of getting break down, they get converted in the form of thin sheet. But non-metals cannot be beaten in the form of the sheet. They will break down into small pieces. So fifth difference is they are non-malleable. Next important difference in between the metal and non-metal is, students, metals are sonorous. Sonorous, that means whenever we beat them with the help of the hammer, they produce a sound. But if we beat the non-metals, they will not produce too much sound. So students, now you have understand that why the bell in the school is made up of iron, because when the iron is beaten with the help of some solid things, it produces a loud sound. And what will happen if instead of making the bell by iron, we make it with the wood? If we beat the wood with the help of the either a rod or any solid thing, the wood will not produce that much sound as that of the iron. So students, Now you have learned about the difference in between the metals and non-metals, or you can say that you have learned the properties of the metal and non-metal. Then what are the different properties of the metals and non-metals? Now the third point, that is metalloids. What are these things? What is metalloids? So students, metal and non-metals and metalloids are the elements, because we are metal, non-metal and metalloids, all these three are the form of the elements. We have classified the elements into three forms. So metalloids are the elements which have intermediate properties between the metal and non-metals, or we can say that the elements which have properties of both metal as well as non-metals are known as metalloids. For example, if you see the example of the metalloids, then boron, germanium, silicon, etc. These are the elements which possess the characteristics of the metals as well as non-metals. That is why these are known as metalloids. So this is the simple classification of the elements into three groups, that is metal, non-metal and metalloids.